Welcome to Keith and the Girl. I'm Keith Malley.
I'm Chemda.
Can I read you a Keith and the Girl listener letter, Chemda? You know
Please.
I love them. I'm
in love with them.
Info at keithandthegirl.com, of course. This one is anonymous. Says, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
But the name is on the top, so.
No.
Okay.
No.
One can't listen to Keith and the Girl for years and not be a little in love with both of them.
I knew to be in love. Okay.
I've been listening for 13 years. And I've spent countless hours letting Chemda and Keith yap in my ears while I walk the dog, clean the house, or do grocery shopping. If my work tasks allowed for it, I was listening. Nights when I did not want to be alone with my own thoughts, I fell asleep to their thoughts as Keith and Chemda whispered hilarious sweet nothings in my ear. Science shows us that the more we expose ourselves to something, the more comfortable and fond of it we become. So is it any wonder that after spending 3,500 plus hours with the show, watching live events, listening to them shoot the shite and squeezing in as many spin-off shows as humanly possible, I can't get Keith and the Girl out of my head? It's more than entertainment. We have grown up together. When I started listening, obsessing over Keith and the Girl, I was in my 20s. I loved Keith and Chemda's relationship and honesty. I cried when they split up and cheered for them in new relationships. I blushed with excitement and pride as they continued to be recognized in articles, awards, and events around the world. And I laughed and laughed, sometimes hysterically and sometimes in public. We've all had that moment, right? When one of them just says the right thing and you lose it because it's just so fucking hysterical and spot on. Or when there are multiple guests or everyone is talking, they all miss that joke that Keith made, and you're walking down the street with headphones in your car, smiling and thinking, I got you, I heard it, that was hilarious. Or that amused excitement you feel when Chemda's getting all worked up about something, but in the cutest way. And you want to wave your hands and let her know you're with her.
Thank you.
As I have grown, found my career, and built a family, Keith and Chemda have done the same. We have grown as humans. I used to laugh and roll my eyes at Keith's ridiculous takes on the world. What? And now I smile at how he has grown to be respect-ish of the feelings of others, and sometimes look at his own feelings as well.
Wow.
I was always enamored by Chemda's social ease and energy, but to watch her embrace life's ups and downs, and to continue to grow and thrive, and then help others do the same in an inspirational way, go Matt. Well, Keith and the Girl is a way of life, a way of processing current events and learning about the world, a way of reflecting on society and relationships and oneself, and seeing our own struggles mirrored and validated by our hosts. Their guests,
deep as fuck.
Yeah, the beautiful community that has grown around them. So is this love? Yeah, I think so. Happy 17th anniversary, Keith and Chemda.
Thank you, Anonymous. That was really sweet.
Thank you. But I'm looking on top. I see the name is... All right.
That's I didn't know it was that person. Okay.
It's beautiful. VIP, of course, is every show we've ever done. KeithandTheGirl.com/VIP. We're talking 17 years now. It's also many spin-off shows that we've done throughout the years. And all the shows are still up there. So we keep doing, of course, Q&A. We keep doing Last Week on Keith and the Girl. Me and my brother have Daddy Issues, the show. So much is going on, but the old VIP shows are still there. My Name is Keith that I would do. It was a show. Me and the guests got drunk, and I mean slam-basted. We would regularly do that, and I didn't know I had a drinking problem. But that's still up there. It's all up there. I have a message here on Reddit from Hannah, and she's talking about how Rod was hosting Last Week on Keith and the Girl, summing up the behind the scenes stuff, as we'll do next week with today's show. And he said, you know what? I write on the Game Theory now, the new HBO show. And Keith, you say about you don't like continuity errors. Let me tell you something. It's not just hard to catch. She says it's impossible. Everybody has egos. Everybody's doing their own thing. You see a mistake in a movie, it's almost amazing. It's almost amazing. It's fine. You can't even believe that TV is being made. We should be lucky to have that. And Hannah wrote this. Keith's movie continuity rant reminded me of a documentary I watched over the weekend on the making of The Breakfast Club. And one of the women who worked on the set said she needed books to fill the library set that they built in an empty school gymnasium. So she called another school library that was sending 20,000 old books off to be destroyed. So she drove, got them, and then made her staff learn the Dewey Decimal System because she was afraid if a shot was too zoomed, someone would notice the books were out of place. I feel like Keith would appreciate that level of dedication. Hannah, yes, that's care A, and B, that's your job. Of
Holy
course.
shit, though. Holy shit.
You're getting paid just the same. Who gives a fuck? Do this to take up your time. You get paid and you did the right thing.
Okay. And yes, you are absolutely right. And I am wrong in my next statement. Oh, I would not enjoy you if I had to learn the Dewey Decimal System just in case somebody decided to zoom in, enhance. You know what I would do? I would spell weird shit out instead in books. And then I would leave Easter eggs that would be fun and then release something new every year. Like, did you catch this in my stupid book order? Dewey Decimal System. We already have that. Let's be actually. Thank you, Hannah. That's very nice.
No, you see movies now. They take these actors apparently are reading books in a library on break, and they just put them back wherever they want. That's how you have these problems. No one gives a shit. And I was complaining about the show Murderville specifically because it's all about idiosyncrasies, and it's not hard to make it. Here's what you do. I'm gonna blow fucking directors' minds right now. Okay. I didn't even go to school for this, but this is gonna get a pen and paper. This shot I'm specifically talking about, and there's others in Murderville, is Conan O'Brien is eating the hot sauce, if you remember. Well, the other person with him keeps putting hot sauce on his food, and he's acting like for whatever reason he wants to fit in, so he just keeps eating, and it really looks like he's getting physically sick. It's hilarious. But then they cut to the waitress who's giving clues, and every so often the bowl of food is missing. There's 2 cups instead of 1. Here's what you do. In this situation, you're in a restaurant, so videotape 3 actors that are waiters just walking around. And anytime you need to cut to somewhere safe, you keep the sound going. The sound doesn't have to match what you're saying. Actually, you cut to those waiters, and then you don't have any continuity errors. What are we talking about?
I don't know, Keith. Would you like to talk about grammar next? Holy shit.
Oh my God. And science.
Yes.
And
rip
math,
it up. Let it loose.
And history.
Absolutely. Release yourself.
Who cares? And art.
Yes. Let it go. Let it go.
I want to introduce today's guest, but I just ripped up all his info. Leon Scott, how you doing, Leon?
Oh, I'm doing great. And hey, that's the greatest intro I've ever gotten in my life. So thank you.
Leon is
a puzzle together right now. Hold on.
That's right.
It's just like yes.
I think I gotta like roll one of these on a pen and then match it with a cereal box or something. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do now. We're in trouble.
This is amazing. I love it.
Leon is a Emmy nominated. Oh, Emmy. Okay, is an Emmy nominated writer. He writes for Open Mic. It's a show over there in DC. And congrats. On Instagram, you can follow him at Listen to Leon. And he has a rant-based show called What Grinds My Gears. You know those things are going to get people in trouble, so I'm a big fan.
Yeah, definitely. I haven't done one in a while, but I started doing them on Instagram Live during the pandemic because I was doing it live. It was a live show originally years ago. It was I was like, it's a matter of time for Seth. What's the name? Seth MacFarlane sues me for this, but I had an event where I would have a DJ spin, and like every 15 minutes, I'd let people sign up to like do a funny rant. And the first couple of folks would be comedians, so like just kind of to show them what to do, and and it was fun because usually people came up there and they had something really funny that was on their heart and they shared it. Occasionally we get a little too real, like somebody like, what really grinds my gears? That bitch over at the bar. I bought you a drink and you ain't talking to me. Like I'm like, oh, get off the mic. Like I had to cut the mic for folks like that, But it was so usually it was fun and it was good,
Okay. And of course, you know what grind my gears comes from Family Guy.
Yeah.
Peter Griffin got a segment in the news that it was sort of like what's the guy from 60 Minutes?
Yeah, Andy Rooney.
Wallace, Rooney, yes, yeah.
Yeah, Andy Rooney. Like, what I don't like, and oh boy, Peter Griffin got really fucked up really quickly because he realized, like everybody else, he can just ask for anything he wants.
Yeah.
What's the deal now with the comedy and the pandemic? Because I honestly don't know where we're at, Leon. We have a new, not to make people shit their pants. There's a new version of the Omicron variant, which was famous for spreading so fast. But this one is as deadly as the Delta variant, which was, killing people. It's called BA.2, but nobody's figured out what it stands for yet. Scientists aren't sure. But anyway, there's the only letters left to name something. So it's called BA.2. And we're getting surges, Hong Kong, UK, United States, of course. 28 million seniors remain at risk of becoming severely ill from this because they're either unvaccinated or partially vaccinated. So you'll have more old people, stubborn deaths.
This is good. There's another great intro. This intro is what's happening in comedy, because I'm looking at deaths.
Because the world is
yeah.
Because I mean, we're still recording separately. We still, we left our studio that March 2 years ago, and people go, well, when are you going to go back? And I'm like, I don't know. When there is a minute between these spikes, that's when. And it's not looking good right now. Well, what are your thoughts, Leon? Does it make you nervous? The comedy specifically? We'll put the deaths to the side for now.
Yeah, because I mean, throughout the whole even the first wave of the pandemic and everything, I found like people got creative with how to do shows, like as far as like having outdoor stuff, and like even like the DC Improv had shows where they even had a drive-in type theater, like they had a drive-in movie screen type thing where people were pulling up, and which that was weird though, because it was like, your people honking car horns and like, oh, that's laughter, and Zoom shows, which honestly everybody didn't like. I'm not a huge fan of them, but I like them. But I like being on them, but it's just like, it's weird because you can't really gauge the laughter as well, especially if they're recording it. So like they'll tell the audience to be on mute, and you have to like look for the little picture in the top of the screen, like, oh, okay, they're smiling, I guess they like me. So
what do you like better? Do you like if they have the audience that you can hear the audience or not? And I say that because I've seen some Zoom shows when you can hear the audience, the audience forgets that they're in their house.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I saw a comedian, say a joke, and then all of a sudden the woman pops up, an audience member pops up because she talked, and she goes, I don't fucking get it.
I was watching a Judah Friedlander Zoom show, and he talks to his audience. So a lot of them have their cameras on. And then one time he's like, oh, and he goes to the audience, and he'll be like, oh, I see Leon's here. Where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. And he jokes around. He goes, oh, I see this person's camera on. Looks like you're having sex. Oh, wait a minute. I think you're having sex. And their sound turns on. So their camera pops up, and they were like, oops, and they run away from the camera.
That is hilarious.
Separate directions.
That is so great. Because I was gonna say, it is funny because there's always something that happens in the background, whether it's like somebody's kid, their dog, or whatever. And one of the comedians, I did a show with this one comedian out here in DC. He's really funny, named Anthony Oakes, and his husband was basically in the background, like walking around shirtless and just like chilling. And I was like, man, tell Kevin to put a damn shirt on. I don't want to see all that taco meat on my screen while I'm telling jokes. This is weird. Right. So we just, it was always something weird. But I mean, I kind of preferred being able to interact as opposed to, because the other way around, it was just like kind of fake it to me. You just assume everything hits and just keep going. Don't like pause and like, hey, you got laughing? Because then all is lost because you're not gonna hear anything. So you may as well just assume it worked. Move on to the next one,
Look at this. Comedians looking for hecklers at this point. Please yell at me. Something. I don't are you breathing?
Proof of life, yes. Proof of life.
Yeah. Hit the reactions button, please. I need it.
I need little hearts popping up on the screen.
Yeah, I need hearts popping up. I also saw a live Zoom show where one audience member fell asleep. That was really fun. We did a Zoom show where Pete Holmes somebody pointed out to Pete Holmes, like, why is there garbage in the middle of your living room? Like, literally, it looks like he was on the way to take out the garbage, remembered he had a show, and then just came on camera. It was so funny. Actually, we're showing that one tomorrow on our YouTube premiere if you guys want to join.
Nice.
So if you're on YouTube, Keith and the Girl. It's so funny.
I think it was Michael Ian Black that noticed, hey, this needs to be addressed. Why are you?
And the thing is, I agree that like you do need reaction, but also it gets pretty hectic with so many people being in the room. So that's why our live Zoom shows were never stand up. You always were in a room with a bunch of comedians. And now you're not just forced to make people laugh. You're forced to make comedians laugh if you want any response. So I think everyone stepped up, and it was a ton of fun. So I think we found the little hack in the Zoom show.
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely. I did a couple of shows that were similar as far as like where the only people that could speak were people that were on the show, and it was a lot smoother. It's just really fun.
Yeah, when we did the Keith and the Girl roast, our second one, we did it over Zoom, and then last minute we had the debate: do we keep all the comics mics on or not? And we made the right choice to keep them on. But yeah, it's a lot of questions you got to ask. By the way, speaking of the virus, Representative Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene, Q conspiracist, real dumb shit. She was just in front of a microphone in Congress, and she goes, "Well, what do we have to do? A fourth vaccine? Another booster?" She said, "Quote, I've never seen the CDC coming out and saying you got to get your second polio shot. Now you got to get your third." Just Google that shit first. You do. You get multiple polio shots. You've got them, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You have that in your body. You have 4 of them at least from when you were a kid.
Yeah, that's wild.
But also, like, you assumed science just then.
Right.
Like, scientists must be so pissed off. Like, in general, they can be, you're allowed to be, because mathematicians don't get this. When we look at math on the wall, we're like, you got this, right? But for science, for science, we fold our arms and we go, did you prove it? And they're like, yes, that's what our experiments are. We proved it. And they're like, I don't know. I got to do some research. And they're like, we did research. I can show it to you. It's available. We have to make it available for you because you guys seem to be showing interest, but I don't think anyone's reading this. What are you reading? Here it is. Yeah. It's the experiment I did.
Man, I'm telling you, like Fauci, to me, he should have won the Nobel Peace Prize for not slapping the shit out of somebody just because how many times people question, like, this one of the smartest people on earth, and people are like, I don't believe you. I think I know this more better than you. And I'm like, no, you don't. You fucking,
you know what we question? Yes. You know, we question less our kids' teachers. Well, they're a teacher. They must know. Really? This is the teacher of the teachers at work. He gets paid. He did all of this. He's better than your kid's teacher.
I know. I'm like, man, for real. When did, like, I don't know. It's wild how people will like trust YouTube over people who went to medical school and like really just, and people who will like lose their license to do it if they don't do it right. So,
there are consequences.
So like, whereas YouTube, you just you start a new YouTube page. Okay, let me just put my videos here now. So
And speaking of like parents, you've heard this, and I think this has stopped since, but like us growing up, it's like be a doctor, lawyer, and accountant, right? We had one of those 3 options to be respected in the community. He did one of those things.
Yes.
Right.
He did one of those things.
And not just did it, he did it to the highest level, because I mean the world is looking to him. So I mean, and he's in your favorite place, on the internet, on the TV.
He's in all the places that you listen to. I don't understand. It's just like my mother, like, well, it's like almost like, what have you done for me lately? True. But I have the answer.
It reminds me of like because I ended up writing a lot of sports stuff, because the guy right for Reese Waters, he works for he used to work for ESPN, so he has a sports show in DC too. It just reminds me of when people talk about NBA players, say, "Oh, this guy's a bum, man. He's terrible. He's a horrible player." I'm like, I guarantee if you catch him at the YMCA right now, he's going to destroy everyone in there. So it's like it's very, he might be a bum compared to like your favorite player, but that guy is still like way better than the rest of the people on earth at this. So we should probably cut him some little slack,
I remember being in math class, and I'd copy other people's work, but you had to show your work on the side, and my teacher would go, "What the fuck? This is fake math," And I'm like, we say alternative math, first of all. But I'll tell you where this not believing in science began. You ready?
All right.
When we started thinking it's cute calling people grammar Nazis. That's where it began. When continuity wasn't important, it was like, well, who knows anything?
Slippery slope. Yes. It was a slippery
slope.
This is the first time that Keith accepted the slippery slope defense. And so let's just have a little perspective here and enjoy the moment.
The math of words, who cares? Well, now this is what you got. Nobody knows what BA2 stands for. You know what I mean?
It's BA Baracus, the second.
Oh man, that would be so great if you could find out if you had COVID by you wake up, you start sounding like Mr. T, like jump on that jibber jabber. We're like, oh man, I'm sick. Someone take me to the hospital. I don't know, man. That would be great. I don't know. That was okay. This is why you don't workshop stuff in real time. I'm like, oh, Mr. T.
Sorry, I had my sound off. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt. The Russia-Ukraine war, day 23. Thoughts, Leon Scott? Go ahead.
Oh man, I mean, honestly, it's right now. as far as just what's going on, it's sad to see. It's sad to see, and it doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon. Even though
hot take.
the
All
world
right.
has, yeah. Well, no, I mean, yeah. I was getting there. I'm building up to. I'm building. I just cut the stove on. It's just slowly heating. It's heating. It's
right.
heating. Yeah. but no, it's crazy just because I feel like all these economic sanctions and everything we're doing, and I know nobody really wants to actually go to war, but they're like calling for a no-fly zone, and I know that if we do that, that means we're going to be in a war at some point, And I don't know. It's frustrating because I really don't know what's the best course of action right now for the U.S. And it's just it's frustrating.
You know what's great?
Help. Yeah.
Luckily, no one's looking for information from us. This is another thing. It's like, if I was like, hey, what's going on with the vaccine? And you'd be like, I think we need to ask someone else. That would be perfectly fine. No, we don't know. Yes, this might cause more of a war, bigger war, more countries. I assume someone's getting paid to like constantly think about this.
Yeah, and honestly, just I do feel like, as we were just talking about the misinformation thing, I do feel like if more people were comfortable just kind of shutting the fuck up and be like, okay, I don't have like the most nuanced take on this. I just know what I feel, and I'm like, okay, it's, what's happening is horrible, it's fucked up, and children and people are like getting killed, like doing like just trying to hide out and not get killed and shit, which is sad. But at the same time, just like it's crazy just seeing how information is getting shut down over in Russia too. Like as far as like that's what gets me, because I work for a news station, and so seeing like the protest when the woman came to work and held up the sign and was like in the background and I guess got arrested after that. The woman who was a producer at the station, so she had access to get on the screen live while this was happening. And
what was on her sign?
It basically said that the war was wrong. You're being lied to. We're basically a cog in the machine. You're being lied to. The war is wrong. We need to stop. And it was written it was in Cyrillic. And it was probably more concise than that. I don't know how to read Cyrillic. Even though it's wild, I actually did do an exchange program in Russia in high school. I went there for like 2 months, and this was like the late 90s though, so it was way different. But it was.
Did you blend right in?
Not at all, but it was fun.
No?
It was very fun. No, but honestly, it was the opposite. I was kind of like a celebrity because I was like the first like Black person most of these people had seen in person, aside from like folks who come from like African countries that were like that had moved there. But I mean, like an African American, I was kind of the first for a lot of folks, and so people would come up to me and ask me questions and just.
Were you comfortable with it? How did you feel about that stuff?
I mean, I was comfortable with it because I only had one negative experience, because everybody else, it was just people were like genuinely curious about what, it was like to live in the States and what my experience was like too, and what they'd seen on TV. Like somebody actually asked me, do they spray you guys with water hoses and sick dogs on you? I was like, no, that was the civil rights movement. But I was like, racism was still there, but I had to try to break down the nuance and have somebody translate it into Russian that wasn't my struggle Russian. So it was interesting, but it was just it opened up to a lot of interesting conversations. I only had one incident that was actually straight up racist, and they saw the other Americans first. We went to a train station to go from Moscow to St. Petersburg, and we're basically waiting for the train, and some skinheads saw the other Americans first. And,
hold on. Like skinheads who like they're wearing identifiers?
Yeah, I mean, they all like had like, it was almost like a uniform. They were almost like wearing a uniform. They were all wearing similar clothing, and it was like 5 of them. I didn't see them at first. They saw the other Americans, and apparently one of them grabbed my teacher and said, "Yankee, go home." And I didn't see any of this, but I see this little tiny one who's like maybe like 5'3", this little 5'0" skinhead walks over to me, and he looks and he points. He's like, "Look, nigger." And so I looked at him, and I didn't even take him seriously. I thought it was just him. And so I said, "Bitch, you can't even say it right." And I just started laughing because he was little. Then I looked up and I saw it was like 5 more. I was like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna be a nigger. I'm gonna get on this train because I don't want to die." But thankfully, our teacher came and said something to them to scare them off. I don't know what she said, but they scattered like roaches and shit. And that was literally the only racist thing that happened on this whole trip. Everything else was pretty much just.
That was a big one. That was actually a big one.
Yeah,
it wasn't. Kind of was, but the thing is, I grew up in Virginia, and it wasn't my first time getting called the N-word and stuff. So I mean, I had it happen in my own country, so I was like, I kind of, I still wasn't expecting that because I'd never actually seen skinheads before. But I was like, yeah, so that was weird. But honestly, it wasn't as jarring, and plus, actually, it led to like the best part of the trip, which is amazing. Because as soon as I got on the train, I found out I'm on the same train as a jazz band called Preservation Hall. And they're based out of New Orleans, and they travel the world like every year. And they apparently they go to Russia every year. And so by the time we got to St. Petersburg, I'd befriended the whole band. They gave me a front row ticket to the show and invited me to a Georgian dinner. And I was high schools
Wow.
had like no money, so it was paid for and everything. So it was great. Like I was like, if I stayed upset about almost getting into a fight with like one tiny skinhead and then his 5 friends, I would have probably like I probably wouldn't have gone over there and started talking to folks, but I went over there and talked to him, and next thing you know, it ended up like just becoming like one of the best parts of the trip. So I guess the lesson from that was just not letting like, you know, I guess like not letting someone just ruin, I guess like steal my joy, ruin my moment or whatever. Because I honestly, I could have let that bother me, but I didn't, and it ended up almost instantly rewarding me for not letting the shit bother me. Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Alluding to the civilians that are dying as opposed to soldiers in Ukraine. Well, you know, I saw that there was, you know, that they hid in civilians went into a movie theater, turned that into a bomb shelter. Yeah. Russia figures it out, and they deliberately bombed that place. On top of that, I start seeing news articles like, oh my God, and they even killed women and children. Is that seriously, is that offensive to women?
When they say killing
you're even attacking women and children. You're not saying you're attacking civilians. You're saying even women and children. The men can fight, obviously, but women and children, that's below the belt. Is that offensive?
I think it's taking something that's already bad and trying to make it sound worse. Like I think they can use the word civilians. I think that's more accurate. But when you hear women and children, then it's like, remember the things that you care about that are helpless completely. You're even turning your back on that. They're not just regular civilians. They're women and children. Although children, I think that's separate than regular civilians killing children.
Yeah.
It seems Russia appears to be struggling to resupply their forces as troop morale is dropping. Well, that's the thing too. Yeah. You can't be telling your military that you're just doing a military exercise. Surprise, actually, we need you to kill everybody. Yes. Let me tell you how the American Army works. When you're doing your training, let's say with your rifle and bayonet, whenever you go to stab, you're yelling, kill, kill, kill. They tell you you're going to kill people. They play, let the bodies hit the floor before you get on a plane. There's no confusion of what's going on. And I think that was a mistake to your Russian troops.
Yeah, it's kind of like, just literally he conned them into a war, which is horrible. Like, this is crazy that you're like, okay, well, guess what? Psych, I got to change the goalpost right now. You're murdering now. And I'm like, oh, wow. That is a big shift of the goalpost.
Yeah, I can't tell, Keith, if you were joking about yelling kill.
I'm not joking.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. What's it? Diplomacy. No, you said kill. Die, kill. Yeah. I saw Kyle Rittenhouse. He's on Twitter, and he was the guy in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I remember.
Went to save the day, killed 2 people, and injured a 3rd one because he didn't like people rioting during Black Lives Matter type marches. I don't know why he's not going over Ukraine, but I guess that's a even bigger journey. Sure. But
his mom can't drive him all the way there.
Right. Apparently he's got jokes because from his account, which is This Is Kyle R. It's somebody put together a meme of him behind a car. Okay. It's from him on the stand when he was crying like, he was scared for his life, supposedly, right?
Yeah,
we all thought that crying was an act.
Yeah.
This is him crying. Ready?
I'm
crying. I'm legitimately crying.
Yo, at one point
are coming down. Obviously, I'm crying.
At one point he stopped until he kind of looked to see if anybody was buying it too. He was like,
yeah. He looked at the jury, guys. No, and trying to so hard to squeeze a tear out. Like
the pin in my pants is not working. Joey told me to tweezer my leg hair, and I can't do it.
So somebody superimposed that video, but now he's at a gas station. So there's a car in front of him instead of the stand that he was at.
Okay.
And there's a pump, in his hand.
Oh, okay.
And he's crying when he was on the stand. And he tweeted, "No, it's not lemon heads. It's the burning hole in my pocket thanks to a Joe Biden presidency." Laughing your balls off face.
That guy's weird.
Deep.
Yeah, I really wish we could just send him over there to he likes killing, let him go kill. But also at the same time, I feel like if you send him over there, he's probably going to jump on Putin's side, basically, because that's just, right. I feel like he's going to pick the villain side every single time because I don't know.
But you obviously don't think for a second. You know, you're a piece of shit all around, right? You don't think for a second, like, hey, could this be offensive? I did kill people, no matter how you look at it. So is this going to be funny to do now? I want to own the crime because I look like a bitch. But if I say I own it and I make jokes of it.
That's so cute that you think everybody knows what legit funny is.
Yeah.
Like, remember the water cooler at some point in your life?
I guess.
Remember trying to tell a joke to like maybe your waiter who's like, fuck my life. Yeah. Remember people trying to joke around with you when you were a waiter?
In the comedian speak, remember just going to a really bad open mic. Like, okay.
Right.
Well, you know what? All this talk, it's good timing for this. Policy Genius. Let me tell you about policygenius.com. They're not an insurance company, but they're a marketplace that works to help insurance shoppers, us, understand our options, compare quotes, buy a policy, all in one place. Okay. If someone relies on you for financial support, a child, an aging parent, even a business partner, you need life insurance. Nobody wants to talk about it, but you have to.
I think this is Keith's way of talking about it with me. A business partner, someone laugh daily with.
Jews are welcome. Policy Genius doesn't add on extra fees. Policy Genius doesn't sell your info to third parties. Policy Genius has thousands of 5-star reviews. Come on now. Head to policygenius.com, get your free life insurance quotes, and see how much you could save.
And you could feel like an adult.
Big news, big exciting news. Jussie Smollett is out of jail after 6 long days.
What?
Yes, Jussie's free. Justice for Juicy.
Yeah.
He finally learned how to act in there and was like, seriously, let me tell you.
Jussie Smollett was released from jail Wednesday night, hours after an Illinois state appellate court ruled that he can go free while his lawyers appeal his conviction for staging a hate crime.
Wow.
So they're like, all right, we're going to do another court case, however things work, and you're free in the meantime.
Yeah.
And who knows? I think it's only going to be worse, but who knows?
Right. Yeah. So if it doesn't get overturned, he goes back to at least the same.
I have to assume.
Yes. I believe so. Yeah. Because honestly, it's to me, there shouldn't be jail time associated with that. I mean, he's already, his career is kind of like suffered because of his stupid.
I'll tell you why I disagree, Leon. I'll tell you why I disagree. Because if he's not in jail, then maybe he didn't make this up after all. He's going to stick to that. And then you know, Cosby being out of jail is confusing people right now. They think he must have been innocent. That's why I think it's a little important.
Well, yeah, I get it. Even though if people paid attention to why Cosby's out there, like, oh, he's out because they kind of did something. It was, there was misconduct. They basically, as far as they used something they said they weren't going to ever use in trial to convict him, but it's his own words admitting that he did it. So he's still just as guilty, but it just.
Can you put that in a headline so everybody can know it? Because otherwise, what are we doing?
Whenever I said Jussie's out of jail, I think everybody assumed, well, that's the end of it. And then you heard me with the follow-up sentence. Well, but people aren't doing the research, Leon.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I thought that the stuff that he was doing, which to me seemed like building a story so he seems unsafe in jail, I thought that story was working for him and he was laying out. And I think it's really interesting. Like, I'm not for our jail system, but it's really interesting that everyone's picking Jussie to not have to do jail time as if he didn't commit a crime and almost didn't put it on some other people. And he got other people involved. Yeah. And
he would have been fine.
Yeah, true.
Melody brought this up the other day and I didn't think about it at the time. So he hired 2 people that he worked with on Empire to stage this. They catch these 2 people on camera, Jussie says, no, I was really attacked. He would have been fine if those 2 people got in trouble for a hate crime, which obviously would be prison time. Yeah. No, true. Jussie belongs in jail.
Yeah, and actually that's a good point, because the funny thing is I was just thinking of it, I was looking at it from a perspective of like, all the stories where you see like the Karen stories where somebody calls the police on somebody black for like for something they didn't do and tries to weaponize the police system, which is totally different from what Jussie did. Because Jussie, like you said, he orchestrated something and suppose, lo and behold, if 2 people had gotten arrested for that, then that could have ruined 2 completely innocent lives for no reason.
Planned a crime.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, if you just want to put it simply, he planned a crime, whether that was a crime against him or not. Like he planned, so that's criminal behavior.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting to, I don't know, to not want to. And also, yes, our jail system is awful, but sometimes people get put in jail just to sit down for a minute, not because like, you know, not because this is like, now we all feel threatened around you all the time. No, like you could have had like some petty theft that, you know, if you don't sit down right now, you might think that you keep getting away with it. And that's how you get.
Yeah, you escalate to something.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it, definitely. And, you know, the wild thing about that story is when that mugshot first hit, you know, everybody that I know had jokes because that mugshot kind of looked like me. The original one, this one with his hair lower doesn't look as much like me, but the original one, yes, like people were like, my grandma called me. She's 81 years old now. She's 91 now. So, but this was she's like 89 at the time. And so she called me and she was like, I saw you on TV. You in trouble, baby? And I was like, Grandma, that's. I was like,
just tell the truth, baby. Just tell the truth.
I was like, yeah. It's like, why'd you lie to those people? And I was like, what?
Oh my goodness.
So I was getting roasted by my 89-year-old grandma over this guy. So, and then friends were like, because Empire was still on, and they were like, we're not gonna recast him. I was like, hey, guess what? I can take it.
You know what? I'm looking at it now. I could see it. Yeah.
I kind of look like an older version of it. I think my Jussie moment has passed. I would be like his uncle, like Jethro Smollett or something.
You know what? Not even Jussie's moment has passed. You can take whatever moment you want. You know, like I think we're all learning that.
All right. I want to. Okay. So in the Jussie Smollett story, when they make that, I'll reach out to Lifetime and be like, hey man, it's my headshot. Boom. Yes.
So he is.
You should for that. You should go in with your headshot looking like a mugshot.
That's what my grandma called him.
Yeah.
Right. He was in behind bars for 6 days, during which time his lawyers say he did not eat and consumed only ice water. This motherfucker's lying already again. For 6 days, you only had ice water to prove a point. That didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Oh man.
God damn it. No, the jail, prison, god damn it. The fucking electric chair, Leon. Yes.
Yeah, this is hilarious because I'm like, I saw that part. I kind of just glossed over it. I was like, whatever. Okay, so he didn't like prison food or he didn't want to do it. But I'm like, still, but yeah, 6 days, that's a long time to just drink water. And
It is, Leon. It is a long time.
So I agree with you. They're like, yeah, he ate a stale bologna sandwich at some point. He did something.
Maybe he knows
whatever they serve.
Everyone's so concerned for his canceled career. Maybe he was also, and he's now going to teach us about a new diet when he comes out. Everybody picks up something. You learn a lesson. Yeah, the ice water diet. Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was in jail for bad checks. I don't ever remember going, can I get some ice in my water?
Well, I got detained because in Virginia, they have you can get public drunkenness if you're just out in the street drunk, and they'll basically give you a ticket and they'll hold you in the cell until they feel like you're sober. And so that happened.
Drunk tank.
Yes, a drunk tank. So that happened to me in Virginia, back in the early 2000s. And so, I was there long enough for them to serve food. And I was like, man, this is the hardest bread I've ever seen in my life. I think I'm good. So I made it on ice water fast for about 4 hours. But
sure.
You got ice water?
No, even ice water. It was okay. I made it on the whatever little fountain was in there that wasn't.
Yeah, that's called a toilet, Leon.
No, there was actually a fountain in there too. It was Northern Virginia, so it was actually nice. There was a TV in the holding cell. There was a TV. And it had Sports Center on, but it was it was so late at night. It was they were replaying the same 30-minute episode back to back to back. So it became
Leon, I just want you to notice that you said you had a TV in your cell and there was still no ice in your water. I think Keith is right. There's no ice in your water. Yeah. There's hardly ice in your fucking freezer because you forget to change it. But they're gonna get a whole ice machine for prisoners.
See, Jussie. I'm sorry, don't say Jussie's rubbing off on me because now I'm embellishing the story because there was definitely no ice water. It was just water. Definitely no ice water.
I like how positive you are. This jail thing sounds like Shangri-La the way you're saying it, and the N-word story is like the greatest thing that ever happened in your life. No, you're a very positive person.
Well, no, honestly, that other I try to be. But the thing about the N-word story, that was it would have been worse if one of those big ones. One of the big skinheads saw me first, I would have been nervous. But I saw that little tiny one, and I was like, I'll just whoop his ass. So I was thinking that in my mind, but then I was like, I don't want to because I'm not going to Russian jail or whatever else. What?
You still, are you trying to? I don't know. You're still a rock star in that story. You're still
Yeah, I mean,
it was the little guy, and I don't know if I should get this much credit. I'm just trying to stay positive.
No, but no, I'm just saying if it was one of the large ones, because one of those guys, there was this old school wrestler called King Kong Bundy. One of those guys looked just like that motherfucker. He was terrifying. I was like, yeah, if he had said that shit, I would have been like, oh fuck, somebody help. But I would have been very quiet. I would have walked right on the train and acted like I didn't hear it or something.
King Kong Bundy.
Yeah, it's a very large.
Yes. Okay.
I'm just scared, and she just did some Googling.
She's scared of a JPEG, so if she's scared of a JPEG, then imagine what this guy really looks like. So, yeah.
That's scary. Yeah.
With this Smollett case, defense lawyers argued that Smollett was unconstitutionally charged twice for the same crime because charges against him were dropped in 2019. And then, of course, he kept running his mouth, so they brought up the charges again. Yeah. He reported, of course, that bigoted fans of then President Donald Trump attacked him with a noose, poured bleach on him. He didn't know what it was at first, like you don't know what the fuck bleach is. He was brought up on new charges a year later under Illinois' disorderly conduct statute after a special prosecutor looked into the case. A jury then found that the former Empire actor, who was black and gay, had paid two men to beat him up in the hopes of raising his public profile. When the case was initially when the case was prosecuted, when this case was sentenced, I wondered to myself, says Smollett's lawyer, if Chicago had seceded from the Union because you cannot punish someone twice. Everybody knows that. You see that documentary Double Jeopardy? Everybody knows you get prosecuted once, then you do whatever the fuck you want because you fucked up. You fucked up my case. You can jaywalk. You can do anything.
Yeah, you got diplomatic immunity basically at this point.
Yes.
You just do whatever you want. Yes.
Because Smollett had been convicted of nonviolent offenses, he could be released from jail on a $150,000 individual bond during this appeal. Under the terms of the bond, he doesn't have to dig into his pockets to get out of jail and would only owe money if he skipped his court date. So he didn't even need money, for the record. Three other defense lawyers told reporters that they believed the second case was unconstitutional and racist, arguing that Smollett was persecuted for making a complaint against purported white assailants. So now the cops are the racist ones somehow, even though Smollett was made up the racist story.
He's going to get off. He's gonna.
You think so?
Yeah, because he's actually not. He's a threat to our reality in a way. But we just. Yeah. I think we have to learn the lesson. We no longer believe you. You can have story time with kids where we say like, or you can write a novel or something. But your true story is you're not gonna have a true crime story or something.
No. This is basically his credibility is shot. It's like there was a guy that I went to college with that he lied so much we just nicknamed him Stop Lying. Like whenever he walked around, like stop lying. He would walk up with like he'd be like, "Hey, what's up?" Like stop lying. And like we just say that shit whenever he showed up. And it got to a point where he just accepted it. He knew it was gonna happen, and he couldn't like stop us from doing it. So he just like, all right, y'all done. And so, but I feel like that's how I look at Jussie now.
Did he keep lying? Did he keep lying? This dude in college?
Yeah, he always. Yeah, it was bad too because it was like he would.
No, once he got the nickname. And
he did because and it would be unnecessary lies because it would be like stuff like he tried to impress us, be like, oh yeah, you know that girl I hooked up with her last night, and then somebody be like, really, and then like because we knew he was lying, one of our friends would be like, yo, so did y'all too? And you're like, ew, no, and then like, okay, stop lying, you lying piece of shit. Why are you always first off? Why are you out here ruining like? Why are you out here like telling us shit we don't need to hear? And then number two,
when did he come out?
I have no idea. I don't even know if he has. I think we're friends on Facebook, but there has to be something behind the habitual liarship. I don't know what it is. Kind of don't really care to. I kind of kept a distance for that reason. I would just see him like around because his dorm was like we were in the same dorm.
I guarantee you meet Jussie Smollett at a party and he's telling you about his ice water lunches and you're like, this guy needs to be in jail.
Man, the other funny thing about that story was just when we saw what the trainers looked like, the guys he paid to beat him.
Yeah.
Well, I was like, okay, that seems like you found the two strongest people on earth. the two blackest people on earth and strongest, like largest people to claim to be white supremacists. And I was like, this is all bad because this looks nothing like your story at all.
Right. And even though Jussie planned it, Jussie's like, he calls these two guys up and he's like, I have to punch you back though. I'm having trouble sleeping. When do I get to punch you back? Like, motherfucker, we got out of this somehow. Let it go.
Yeah, for real.
Former Governor Andrew Cuomo unleashed a torrent of attacks, blaming extremists from the Democratic Party for his undoing, which of course he was governor. And then there are all these sexual assault allegations, and he's no longer governor, and he's switching sides. He's hinting that it's he's not hinting, he's saying it's extreme Democrats and it's cancel culture, but he's definitely hinting that he doesn't mind becoming a Republican now that he knows Democrats are full of shit.
Keith, okay, it makes sense because as a Democrat, I don't want him to tell me how pretty I am, but Republican women love that.
They do,
right? Because what can he say? I don't understand. He's just trying to compliment a woman. So time to cross over to the other line that allows you to speak freely about how pretty everybody looks.
And grab freely. Let's not confuse the situation. Hell-bent on repairing his public image after resigning last year in the wake of multiple sexual misconduct allegations. He said, one manifestation of extremism is the so-called cancel culture. Cancel culture says, if you don't agree with me and my point of view, you can be canceled. You may recall that I said, I apologize for what I did. But a good 3-4 months went by, and now I'm saying it never happened. Okay. Why not? Honest to God,
well,
why not?
he's going with cancel culture. He's canceling his apology.
Yeah. I'm more committed to fighting and fighting hard to do the right thing so government works. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to continue to fight the good fight. I may, in fact, run for governor again.
All right, please define fighting the good fight. You can't just say these fucking you're not in a movie. I'm getting too old for this shit. Like a red pill green. I don't know. It's as if people, when they're apologizing or speaking without trying to say something, it's like they're quoting different movies. Like, let's pull from here, let's pull from there, and then maybe it'll sound like I'm smart.
Yeah, I mean, we're living in like a soundbite culture. Like people, that's what people latch on to. They'll hear like something interesting, like, oh, okay, so the going gets tough. The tough thing, like, okay, so and then that's the shit that ends up like all over, timelines and everything. So that's kind of
yeah.
What were you about to say? I'm sorry.
That reminded me, in one of the Bourne movies, I thought this was hilarious because I talked about like how the Bourne movies don't have shit like that. Like, I'm getting too old for this shit, and like cowabunga motherfuckers as you're jumping from a helicopter, like that kind of shit. But they did do this one thing. The guy's going over, and I think it's the beginning of one of the movies. So I think he's recapping for us. He's like, this dude did this dude did that all of this shit happens. And he holds his head and he goes, you can't even make this shit up. And I'm like, because you just did.
Yeah, exactly.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yes, I love it. Nice.
Okay. Very cute.
Chaos.
Cuomo, who claims he has been vindicated after prosecutors declined to bring criminal charges against him, said recently this is why Jussie has to be in jail for a little bit. He regrets stepping down. He says he would have faced certain impeachment had he remained in office. So, sometimes you just got to, go to Italy for a little bit, hang out, and then come back and go, hey, what happened? History, grammar Nazis. How about that?
Oh man, but the thing that kills me about cancel culture, like when people use it as their excuse, is the fact that, I mean, he could kind of say he's been canceled, but he hasn't really. He's still rich and he's still just got a platform, clearly. But I mean, most of the time when people get canceled, they're not really getting canceled. They're getting like, inconvenienced for the shit that they actually did. Sure. like Aaron Rodgers said, oh, I'm canceled. Now he has the biggest deal in the NFL. Right now, and I'm like, so I'm like, okay, I guess maybe I'll try getting canceled. That shit looks lucrative.
I don't know. We used to call it getting caught.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
That's all it was. Like, did you look up that girl's skirt, but she didn't give you permission? Oh shit, am I canceled? No, you're caught. I caught you.
Right.
I'm reporting it. And we're not even calling it punished, because they are acting like cancel culture is punished culture, but you're not necessarily being punished. You're being caught. What comes after that is maybe cancellation of what? The job that you didn't do, or the job where you harassed people. Again, that's getting caught. It's getting convicted. There are words for it, and it's not canceling.
Yeah, it's consequence culture. That's really what it is. It's consequences for the shit that you did. So that's really what it is.
Minimal in a lot of
yeah. Very, very, yeah.
It's just funny when people grab these words and all of a sudden it works for them. For example, I know I brought this up before, but it was Hillary Clinton who said when Trump would say things like, he's making that up. That's a lie. That's fake news. And then Trump went, oh, that seems to be grabbing headlines. Well, you're fake news. And Hillary's like, God damn it. That's good. You said I'm fake news. And it caught on, of course.
Yeah.
Why not? Just say shit.
Yeah.
So you have Andrew Cuomo. That, you know, he was the ex-governor. Chris Cuomo is his brother that was on CNN. If maybe you remember, he got into a fight at a bar because someone said, hey, Fredo. He's like, oh, from The Godfather. That's a slur. That's the N-word toss. Like, okay, but you didn't say the F word, but all right. So somehow everybody's saying it loudly. He was fired. A combination of things. He was looking up information on the women that accused his brother of sexual misconduct. Oops. And you know, using the news organizations' computers to try to find dirt on these women, make them look like sluts. And in the past, he had a sexual misconduct charge himself, Chris, that came out. And as CNN is trying to deal with that, there was a brand new sexual assault case. So now Chris Cuomo, who no longer works for CNN, is suing CNN for $125 million, claiming his journalistic integrity has been unjustifiably smeared.
Well, your journalistic integrity has never been worth 125 million. So I don't know who came with that price. Wow. Every time I had integrity, they owe me $1.
And he's doing his, like him and his brother have to, they got to be talking about what's going on with them, right? And they don't believe the other one because they know they're full of shit, but they got to keep acting like the other one's okay. Speaking of jail, that's what it's got to be like. Well, I know you didn't kill him, but I didn't kill him either. So I guess we all didn't do anything.
We learned that from Shawshank. Everybody in here is innocent.
Yeah.
What are you in for? My lawyer was fucked up. What are you in for? Never did anything in my life.
Because Chris, like I did admit though that I used the computers the way I shouldn't, and I did admit that I was sexually inappropriate to at least one of the older stories. And then Andrew says, "Who cares?" And Chris goes, "Yeah, you're right. I didn't do those things, and I'm suing you. In fact, what?
Yo, that's just a waste of like lawyer money and time for everyone. That is just, it's insane. It's insane. But I mean, he's desperate at this point because I mean, clearly, you know, his credibility is shot too. Especially you were used to work computers to do your dirt. I mean, I know they have access to resources, but bro, go home. Like you can get on Google at home. Don't. I mean,
look at this. People like remember the doctor, lawyer, accountant. Yeah. Man, lawyers are just fine no matter what. Like whatever side you're on, you win as a lawyer. Like people have to, you can't talk directly to the judge. You have to have this in-between person. Yeah. And you always win. You have to pay them so much money to hopefully get some kind of justice. Yeah. I know that's like a separate tangent, but
yeah, no, I mean, you got to pay them just for them to listen to you in the first place, you know? Yeah, I'm like, yes. So yeah, it is definitely, I dated a lawyer for a few years and I was like, yeah, you're in the right field because first off, you know, you're passionate about every argument, big or small, which is great. And, you know, half the time, even if I'm right, I give up because I'm like, okay, you know what, this isn't worth it. but you know, so
and when we're fighting, who the fuck is she talking to?
What did you pick up any tips from her on like how to argue? I don't want to say better, but like something.
Well, I did. I mean, I've gotten better, and this is just something I had to do anyway. Was I just basically got better about just you know, just slowing down and thinking my words through instead of just saying stuff like while it's fresh on my mind. Because sometimes I'm just be like sometimes, you know, I'll be emotional about something and I'll say something that I didn't really officially mean or might not be right, but if I take a step back and assess, okay, which I had to do it with social media too, obviously, especially now that I work for a news organization myself, I was like, okay, I can't share every thought I have because some of them, they're hilarious, but yeah, my employer looks at this. So it's just funny. I just kind of got better with like gauging the filter and planning stuff. But the other thing too, what I did learn with her though, which was funny because I mean, I knew when an argument was coming because a lot of times she would basically build a case before she like I could tell she was mad for a couple of days and she would be quiet or like I'm like, you okay? Are you upset about something? She said, no, I'm fine. Like
we're not ready. The people aren't ready yet.
And then it's like she would wait.
Our court date is on Friday. You just don't know it yet. I haven't subpoenaed you.
The court date is once you lay down and you're tired, and I'm gonna go ahead and hit you with everything so you can't sleep.
This is Leon versus Washington D.C. Yeah,
and you have no defense. It was like, I'm like, you can't even do that in real court. You have to like actually you have to like actually submit stuff for evidence. You can't even like do that in your actual job. But
I think a lawyer's secret.
I honestly, like,
I think you were getting choppy there a little bit. But I think
yeah, no, I'm saying.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. You finish. No, I was gonna say, yeah.
Now you have to. I swear to God.
All right. No, I was gonna say I felt like I needed a lawyer to basically deal with dating a lawyer just so I could know what was admissible and what wasn't. And now that I stepped on that punchline like 4 different times, it was definitely not as sharp as it would have been the first time. But thank you guys. Thank you for letting me get through it.
Do you hear, lawyers do this? I've argued with people that seem to do this sometimes, where they make up a point that you don't necessarily agree with, and then they rate themselves. Like Jussie Smollett's thing wasn't too egregious, right? So when you look at the course, I'm like, whoa, did you just make me agree with something you said? It's when lawyers say obviously, like for example, Chris Cuomo's attorney. It should be obvious by now that he did nothing wrong. Like, oh, well, I'm not an idiot. If it's obvious, then I agree. Right?
Then you don't see what everybody is obviously seeing in your dork.
You're like, what's wrong with me? Why don't I feel this way? Wait. So you start second guessing yourself. Like, okay, wait a minute. What did they know that I don't? Oh,
yeah, I think you're right.
They just,
they
just know they're manipulating me. Okay, that's what they're doing. Okay.
I mean, we'll see. Like, I don't know. Go in the just lay back for a little bit and then come back instead of fighting it so hard right away. Brian Williams is back on the news. He made up the news. Okay, just shut up for a second. But whatever. 125 million is 125 million.
Yeah,
that's actually what Leon is saying. He learned from the lawyer girlfriend, right? Step back for a second.
Yeah,
situation.
Yeah, exactly.
What would you say is the toughest thing about dating you?
The toughest thing about dating me is, I guess right now, I mean, just the schedule, because I mean, well, actually it's better now because the show I was writing for, because originally the host of the show, Reese Waters, really funny comedian. He's basically, when I got hired to work on the show, it was for a show that they were creating called Get Up BC. And it was a news show with traffic and weather and everything, but it's hosted by a comedian. So like how the radio will have like a comedian hosting the show. It's just, so it was cool, but it was kind of weird because we'd had to, as soon as we get like a comedic rhythm, every like 7 to 8 minutes, we had to break to like news, traffic, headlines, and weather for people getting ready to go to school or to work or whatever.
So you had to make traffic and weather funny?
And I had to write little funny. I had to write. I wrote a monologue for him. Then I would write like different segments for the show that were comedic, and they touched on things that are going on in the DC area or whatever. Or
look at this
local news stories.
The news has to be like, let's hire a comedian. Somebody please. Make this interesting.
Yeah, I mean, we were like honestly the only station at the time. But I mean, actually, we're still kind of the only station that has a morning show that did that. But now it's funny. Reese is a 7 p.m. show for this past year. We've been doing it's the 7 p.m. now and not like 6 a.m. like it was. So I was working like a graveyard shift, and that was hard as far as like dating and everything. Just being able to find energy and time and work it into my schedule. As far as like being able to actually have time to get to know somebody, because
schedule is your worst thing.
No, I did. The thing is, I honestly know.
Rom-com worthy.
Okay, cool. Rom-com worthy.
We're gonna need something
how about this?
We're gonna need something where, in a montage of 2 or 3 things, you get fixed and are better. What would your montage be?
Okay, well, I snore. That's one thing. Yeah, I snore. So
okay, so I feel like one of those.
The sleep. I'm about to get a Darth Vader sleep apnea mask or something. Yes. Maybe that'd be my montage. And I guess another one would be. I mean, the reason why I brought that up is I could actually have made time to date more. So it's just I just kind of wasn't, because I was just focused on comedy and everything else. I didn't really. I feel like I haven't.
So in this montage, we give you a little calendar. Okay.
I would say maybe just. I mean, I haven't really. I guess I haven't put the effort in as much because I've been putting it in all these other places. So I think that. Just
that's also unavailable. You made that very clear. Okay.
And redundant.
There we go. Yes, there we go.
You know your synonyms. That's nice.
Yes. Let's see. Well, then, is there what else is fucked up about me? Let me see.
Have you been dating? Quote post-pandemic. Have you been dating?
Yeah, I have, and it's been cool. Things have been going pretty well. It's just it has been a little interesting and weird because when I first started, it was rusty. I didn't really know. It was things that were natural. I just was kind of was on a date. I'm like, oh, this is, what do we do? Okay, we're talking. Okay, and we're out at a bar talking and stuff. And it just felt a little weird at first, just because I hadn't done it in a while. You get rusty when you don't do anything for a while.
I found it weird at first hanging out with friends. And, I remember hanging out with my friend Brother Love, his wife. Obviously, we all get along. But I'm sitting there and like, now I will turn to her, include her in the story, even though she is on her phone. This is the right thing to do. Okay, my point is done. They don't have a follow-up point. I will now go to the bathroom, stand up, turn left, walk.
Yeah, like I couldn't read any cues. I'm like, okay, I think she likes me. I cannot tell. Like, do you like me? Like, just right. That's how serious it was. Like, I brought all the awkward right back into this story right there. Yeah, just I had a camera fell. Yeah, I had a flashback and made this awkward now. Okay, but yeah, it was an adjustment. Just being able to just actually date in person again. So but I feel like I've made it past that now. But at first it was rough. Yeah.
All right. Well, we're rooting for you. Okay, we want you to find love. Positive people deserve love.
I appreciate that, and I will try to not be as redundant with whoever I find love with. I will say things once and mean them very clearly.
What's the thing that is a commonality of this bothers me about when I date? Like what's the commonality on that other person? Are you always finding someone who puts you down or lifts you up? Are you always finding someone who doesn't have as good a sense of humor as you? Or what's the common bad trait that you like to date? You like women who drink too much?
It's weird. It's because I told you about the lawyer thing. It was like I kind of like feisty. I like, as far as I kind of I'm drawn. I don't know why I'm drawn to the chaotic energy sometimes, but just I don't know. I don't like drama in my personal life, but I seem to end up falling in love with people who like drama. So it's so weird. I don't know what it is. I guess
have you looked into it? Is it just it keeps life exciting, or your mom used to yell at you and you miss it?
Honestly, to be honest, I'm just going to say this is sex. Usually the sex is just great with them. I don't know what it is about, and I don't want to use the C word, say crazy, but every person I've dated that has a little crazy streak. It's I feel like God has a really weird sense of humor. Like the people that are probably the worst for you are the ones that are the most fun in bed. I don't know what the fuck that's about, but it's there.
Well, let me tell you something. Somebody knows what the fuck that's about. And that's why betterhelp.com/KATG.
That's right.
That was such a smooth transition. I love it.
You want to follow Leon online, like I said, at Listen to Leon. You can follow that on social media. What else should people know, Leon?
Like I said, just at Listen to Leon. I'm on, that's on all social media under that. I have recorded 2 different comedy specials. One is on Amazon. It's called American Comic. I hosted that one years ago, but it came out right at the beginning of the pandemic. And then another one came out that I did called District of Comedy. That one it's probably going to be on another streaming service soon. It was on this one called BLK Prime, but I don't even know if it's still on there anymore. But it's a good special, so hopefully it'll land on Netflix or something soon. So I'm just trying to stay busy.
Our audience will let you know if it's on there so that you can tell other audience accurate information.
Just be on the lookout for District of Comedy.
Listen, just like his exes know, Leon's unavailable. Okay, so if you really want to, you could follow him. If not,
I'm always available in pixel form on your smartphone. So definitely you'll always find me on Instagram. That's not going anywhere, or Twitter or whatever else, Yeah, I'm always going to be occasionally on TikTok, Yeah.
Leon, thanks for being part of this. Very nice meeting you.
Yeah, it's been nice meeting you both. This has been great. And one last thing, I actually, do you guys know Victor Varnado, right? Comedian in New York City. I don't know. Have you guys met him? Yeah. So he actually is the one who put me onto the podcast, because I've been working with him on a new podcast that he's doing, as far as doing some social media stuff for him. And so they actually featured you guys recently. It's a podcast called Wiki Listen, where they just talk about different, basically they just read Wikipedia pages, but it's him and a therapist, and they're both just having a fun reading these interesting Wikipedia pages. They read one about Keith and the girl when I first started. And I was when I first started doing social stuff for them. And so I was like, man, this just sounds so awesome. So I just got hooked on listening to the podcast after that. So it just got me hooked on what you guys are doing. So I haven't been there 17 years like the people who are writing letters, but I am glad that I'm on board now, because you guys are doing great work, and it's awesome. I love it.
Well, that's
really
always
nice
fun to hear. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, everybody. The Borgata, me and Kyle will be there. She'll be performing this weekend. I will be playing poker. Stop and say hi. All right. And we'll talk
That's
to you
exciting.
soon.